Explore the advanced processes of FDA 510(k) regulatory submissions and compliance for medical devices, focusing on pre-market notification, substantial equivalence, and regulatory documentation. Welcome to the course on Advanced 510(k) regulatory submissions and compliance. This course covers the essential pathways for bringing medical devices to the U.S. market, equipping you with the tools needed for real-world regulatory success. The FDA regulates medical devices to ensure safety and effectiveness. Understanding product classification, design controls, quality systems, and post-market surveillance is crucial for compliance. A 510(k) pre-market notification is a submission to the FDA showing that a new device is substantially equivalent to a legally marketed device. Manufacturers must demonstrate safety and effectiveness. Regulatory compliance is vital for medical device manufacturers, ensuring timely market access, avoiding enforcement actions, supporting product quality, and maintaining customer trust. The FDA classifies devices by risk level, from Class 1 to Class 3. Understanding this system is essential for determining regulatory strategy and compliance requirements. Substantial equivalence is central to the 510(k) program. Manufacturers must show that a new device is as safe and effective as a predicate device, considering intended use, technological characteristics, and performance data. The 510(k) process involves strategy, predicate identification, testing, and documentation. A structured approach improves submission quality and regulatory outcomes. Successful submissions require collaboration among stakeholders like regulatory affairs, engineering teams, quality management, and clinical specialists. Coordination is key to success. Organizations face challenges like incomplete documentation and inadequate testing. Understanding these pitfalls helps teams avoid costly delays and regulatory risks. Medical device regulations evolve with technological innovation. Trends include software-based devices, cybersecurity, usability engineering, AI, and electronic submissions. The course roadmap covers regulatory pathways, substantial equivalence, submission preparation, and more, guiding you through each step of the regulatory process. Achieving regulatory excellence involves strong quality systems, effective governance, skilled personnel, and a culture of compliance. This foundation supports every project and market access effort. In this chapter, we explore the origins and pathways of the FDA 510(k) process, focusing on its legal framework and strategic planning. The FDA ensures that medical devices in the U.S. meet safety and effectiveness standards before reaching patients and healthcare providers. A 510(k) is a pre-market notification to the FDA, demonstrating that a new device is substantially equivalent to one already on the market. The 510(k) program has evolved since the 1976 Medical Device Amendments, providing a mechanism for evaluating moderate-risk devices. The legal basis for the 510(k) process originates from the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, supporting effective regulatory planning. The FDA's authority spans the entire medical device lifecycle, ensuring compliance through submissions, inspections, and regulations. The 510(k) program aims to ensure devices are safe, support innovation, and provide market access through a structured pathway. Substantial equivalence means a new device must have the same intended use and not raise new safety or effectiveness questions. Many Class 1 and 2 devices are reviewed through the 510(k) pathway, influencing pathway selection and submission requirements. The FDA classifies devices by risk, determining the level of regulatory control required for each class. The FDA offers multiple pathways for market authorization, including 510(k), de novo, and PMA options. The 510(k) pathway provides a structured and predictable route to market for eligible devices, ensuring efficient resource allocation. Organizations face challenges in the 510(k) submission process, including predicate device selection and documentation quality. Successful submissions require collaboration among regulatory, engineering, and clinical teams, ensuring quality and compliance. Regulatory strategy is crucial for device classification, pathway selection, and resource allocation, ensuring successful submissions. A case study demonstrates the importance of selecting the appropriate FDA pathway for successful regulatory strategy and submission. The 510(k) pathway is a major route for FDA clearance, with most market authorizations flowing through this process. Successful 510(k) programs rely on strong regulatory strategy, predicate selection, and cross-functional collaboration. The FDA is modernizing the 510(k) program to address emerging technologies, ensuring compliance and supporting innovation. The 510(k) pathway plays a crucial role in medical device access, balancing safety, effectiveness, and market success. Medical device classification is the foundation of regulatory strategy. Before preparing a 510(k) submission, organizations must understand how the FDA classifies devices and how classification influences regulatory obligations. In this CDGTraining chapter, learners will explore FDA device classifications, risk-based regulation, product codes, classification databases, regulatory pathway selection, and strategic planning considerations. Device classification determines the regulatory controls applicable to a medical device. Accurate classification is essential for successful regulatory planning. Testing requirements, submission pathways, and quality obligations are all tied to device classification. The FDA regulates medical devices according to risk. Devices presenting lower risk generally require fewer regulatory controls, while higher-risk devices are subject to more extensive review and oversight. Risk-based regulation helps balance innovation and patient protection. The FDA categorizes medical devices into 3 primary classes. Each class is associated with specific regulatory requirements and controls. Classification directly impacts market authorization pathways. Class 1 devices generally present the lowest level of risk to patients and users. Many Class 1 devices are subject to general controls and may be exempt from 510(k) requirements, depending on the applicable regulation. General controls form the baseline regulatory framework applicable to many Class 1 devices. These controls help ensure basic regulatory compliance across the device lifecycle. Class 2 devices generally present moderate risk and often require FDA 510(k) clearance before marketing. Class 2 devices are commonly associated with the 510(k) pathway. Special controls are device-specific requirements established by the FDA to provide reasonable assurance of safety and effectiveness for Class 2 devices. They go beyond the baseline general controls framework. Class 3 devices generally support or sustain life, are implanted, or present potentially significant risk. These devices often require pre-market approval rather than 510(k) clearance. Pre-market approval is essential for regulatory strategy development. The process pathways differ significantly in their review standards and costs. FDA product codes help identify specific device categories and regulatory requirements. Each product code is associated with specific regulations, classifications, review panels, and submission expectations. Regulatory professionals frequently use FDA classification resources to support accurate and defensible regulatory decisions. Accurate research supports successful regulatory outcomes. Classification decisions require careful, multidimensional analysis. Careful analysis helps prevent costly regulatory mistakes and delays in market access. Regulatory strategy involves selecting the most appropriate pathway based on device characteristics and regulatory requirements. A strong strategy improves project efficiency and reduces time to market. Organizations may evaluate several pathway options. Selection depends on classification, risk, technological characteristics, and predicate availability. Strategic planning reduces uncertainty. A manufacturer developed a wearable physiological monitoring device intended for clinical use. The regulatory team assessed intended uses, technological characteristics, product codes, and existing devices on the market. After review, the device was determined to be a Class II device, which led to the decision to pursue a traditional 510(k) submission. The case study demonstrates how strategic assessment helps ensure compliance and market entry. Most regulated medical devices fall within Class II and Class I categories. Class II devices represent a smaller percentage but generally require more extensive regulatory review and supporting evidence. All factors carry significant weight in regulatory strategy development. These factors should be evaluated in unison. A comprehensive, integrated strategy improves the most influential considerations during pathway selection. Organizations may encounter a range of classification challenges during device development. Early regulatory assessment helps reduce classification uncertainty and avoid costly delays. Correct device classification is one of the most important regulatory tasks a medical device organization can make. It determines regulatory requirements, submission pathway, testing expectations, and long-term compliance obligations. As taught in CDGTraining, successful regulatory programs begin with accurate classification, thoughtful planning, and a clear understanding of FDA expectations. Understanding substantial equivalence is crucial for FDA 510(k) compliance, ensuring new devices are as safe and effective as existing ones. Substantial equivalence means a new device is as safe and effective as a legally marketed device, focusing on intended use and technological characteristics. Substantial equivalence is vital for FDA decisions, impacting whether a device can be marketed through the 510(k) pathway. Predicate devices serve as benchmarks for demonstrating substantial equivalence, crucial for regulatory decisions. An acceptable predicate device must be legally marketed, not withdrawn for safety, have a similar intended use, and support meaningful comparison. Identifying predicate devices involves comprehensive research using primary and supplementary sources. Intended use comparison is foundational in substantial equivalence, focusing on the general purpose and clinical problem addressed by the device. Intended use covers broad clinical functions, while indications for use focus on specific clinical scenarios and patient populations. Technological characteristics define how a device is built and functions, crucial for assessing safety and effectiveness. Manufacturers must demonstrate that technological differences do not impact safety or effectiveness, providing supporting evidence. FDA decision-making criteria include intended use similarity, technological characteristics, performance testing, risk profile, and safety evidence. New questions of safety and effectiveness arise when technological differences are identified, requiring additional scrutiny. Supporting evidence includes bench testing, software validation, safety testing, biocompatibility evaluations, sterilization validation, and performance studies. Performance testing demonstrates that new devices perform as intended and supports equivalence claims. A strong equivalence narrative connects technical data to a logical argument for FDA review, guiding positive determinations. A case study demonstrates substantial equivalence through predicate selection, evidence generation, and successful outcomes. Substantial equivalence evaluation involves interconnected analyses of intended use, technological characteristics, performance testing, and more. Factors influencing FDA decisions include predicate selection, performance data, intended use alignment, risk assessment, documentation, and strategy. Common challenges in demonstrating substantial equivalence include weak predicate selection, technological differences, inadequate testing, unclear statements, and incomplete documentation. Substantial equivalence is key to FDA 510(k) compliance, requiring strategic predicate selection, robust testing, risk assessment, and clear documentation. Selecting the appropriate 510(k) submission type is a critical regulatory decision that influences timelines, documentation requirements, review expectations, and regulatory strategy. In this chapter, learners will explore traditional 510(k), special 510(k), abbreviated 510(k), safety and performance-based pathways, pathway selection criteria, and practical regulatory decision-making approaches. The FDA has established multiple submission pathways to accommodate different types of device modifications, technological changes, and regulatory circumstances. Understanding these options helps organizations select the most efficient and appropriate route to market. Proper pathway selection supports successful submissions and reduces the risk of delays, deficiencies, or rejection during FDA review. Common FDA 510(k) submission approaches each carry specific eligibility requirements and documentation expectations. Each pathway has specific eligibility requirements and documentation expectations that must be carefully evaluated before submission. The traditional 510(k) is the most commonly used submission type. It is appropriate for new devices and modifications that require comprehensive review of substantial equivalence, testing data, and supporting documentation. This pathway provides flexibility for a wide range of devices, including novel technologies and complex comparisons. A traditional 510(k) requires comprehensive documentation to support FDA review activities. The submission package generally includes administrative information, device description, predicate comparisons, performance testing, labeling documentation, risk assessments, and standards compliance. Traditional submissions are often preferred when eligibility for alternative pathways is uncertain. The pathway offers several strategic advantages for manufacturers navigating the FDA clearance process, including broad applicability, flexibility for new technologies, comprehensive review, and complex device support. The special 510(k) pathway is designed for certain modifications made to a manufacturer's own legally marketed device. The pathway leverages existing design control processes to support regulatory review. Not all modifications qualify for this approach, so eligibility must be carefully assessed before committing to this pathway. Special 510(k) submissions must meet specific eligibility criteria. Eligibility is carefully assessed to ensure that modifications are minor and do not affect the device's intended use or safety. Control processes must effectively evaluate modification, and supporting evidence must demonstrate continued safety. When a device modification qualifies, the special 510(k) pathway can offer meaningful operational and regulatory advantages for manufacturers managing product lifecycles. It provides streamlined documentation, an efficient review process, and design control integration. The abbreviated 510(k) pathway was developed to leverage recognized standards, guidance documents, and special controls. This approach allows manufacturers to rely on established scientific principles and consensus standards when appropriate, demonstrating conformity with recognized safety and effectiveness. Consensus standards provide recognized methods for demonstrating device performance and compliance. They support objective evaluation and are widely accepted by FDA reviewers as credible evidence of safety and effectiveness. The safety and performance-based pathway allows certain devices to demonstrate conformity with FDA-identified performance criteria instead of direct comparisons against a predicate. This pathway is available only for eligible device types defined by the FDA. The safety and performance-based pathway reflects ongoing modernization of regulatory processes and offers meaningful advantages for qualifying device manufacturers. It reduces predicate dependence, provides objective performance criteria, increases regulatory predictability, and supports innovation. Pathway selection is a strategic regulatory decision. Multiple factors must be evaluated holistically to identify the most appropriate and efficient submission route. Strategic evaluation of these factors improves submission planning and reduces the likelihood of deficiencies or pathway reclassification during FDA review. Careful planning helps reduce the risks associated with pathway selection errors. Understanding common pitfalls enables regulatory teams to avoid costly delays and submission deficiencies. These mistakes can significantly delay market access and increase regulatory costs. Early pathway assessment is strongly recommended. A manufacturer updated the software architecture of an existing cleared monitoring device. The regulatory team initially considered a special 510(k), but determined that the extent of software changes required more comprehensive review. After evaluating risks, testing requirements, and FDA expectations, the organization selected a traditional 510(k) pathway. The decision supported a successful submission and clearance outcome, demonstrating the importance of thorough pathway evaluation before committing to a submission strategy. The distribution reflects the traditional 510(k)'s dominance on the regulatory landscape, while highlighting the special 510(k)'s role. It represents a meaningful share of submissions for manufacturers managing product modifications within their own cleared device portfolio. Several factors influence pathway selection decisions. Regulatory eligibility, device characteristics, and testing requirements often play the largest role in determining the most appropriate submission type. These factors can significantly impact submission planning and outcomes. The FDA continues to modernize regulatory programs through increased use of electronic submissions, performance-based approaches, and technology-specific guidance. Organizations should monitor evolving regulatory expectations to remain competitive and compliant. FDA offers multiple 510(k) submission pathways to accommodate different device types, modifications, and regulatory circumstances. As taught in CDGTraining's framework, successful regulatory strategy depends on understanding pathway eligibility, selecting the appropriate submission type, and developing documentation that supports substantial equivalence and regulatory compliance. Predicate device selection is crucial for a successful 510(k) submission. A well-chosen predicate lays the groundwork for demonstrating substantial equivalence and supporting FDA review. In this chapter, learners will explore strategies for predicate identification, comparison methodologies, and best practices for strong regulatory submissions. A predicate device is a legally marketed medical device used as a reference point in a 510(k) submission. The FDA evaluates new devices by comparing them to predicates based on intended use, technological characteristics, and safety performance. Selecting the right predicate is a strategic decision that shapes the entire submission process. Predicate selection impacts every aspect of the 510(k) submission process. A strong predicate simplifies equivalence demonstrations and reduces regulatory hurdles, while a weak predicate can lead to additional testing and delays. Understanding the strategic impact of predicate selection is essential for successful submissions. An ideal predicate exhibits characteristics such as the same intended use, similar indications for use, and comparable technology. It should have an established market history and clear regulatory documentation. These traits ensure a strong equivalence argument in the submission process. Predicate devices must be legally marketed in the U.S. Verification of legal marketing status is a crucial first step in predicate research. Acceptable predicate types include previously cleared devices and certain reclassified or de novo devices. FDA databases provide essential information for identifying potential predicates. Utilizing resources like the 510(k) database, product classification, and registration databases enhances submission quality by offering detailed insights into previously cleared devices. The FDA 510(k) database contains vital information on previously cleared devices, aiding in predicate selection. It includes clearance summaries, device descriptions, and intended uses. Comprehensive database research is key to effective predicate identification. Product codes help identify devices regulated under similar classifications. Using the same product code streamlines the search for predicate candidates, ensuring efficient research and evaluation. A structured approach to predicate searching enhances research efficiency. Effective strategies include device classification review, product code identification, and competitor landscape evaluation. ensuring the most appropriate predicates are identified. Choosing between a single or multiple predicate strategy depends on the device's complexity. A single predicate offers simplicity, while multiple predicates may be necessary for novel technologies. Each approach must align with FDA expectations. Intended use comparisons ensure the new device serves the same purpose as the predicate. This involves defining the intended use, comparing statements, addressing differences, and documenting the comparison for clarity and justification. Indications for use analysis evaluates patient populations, clinical applications, and healthcare settings. This detailed analysis strengthens regulatory submissions by ensuring evidence-based and justified comparisons. Technology comparisons identify similarities and differences that affect safety and effectiveness. Assessments cover design features, materials, software, energy sources, operating principles, and user interfaces. Technological differences must be addressed to ensure safety and effectiveness. This involves conducting performance testing, referencing literature, and documenting scientific rationale to support comparisons. Comparison tables summarize similarities and differences between devices, aiding in the substantial equivalence argument. Well-organized tables improve understanding and strengthen regulatory submissions. A manufacturer developed a next-generation monitoring device and selected the most comparable predicate. Through thorough research and validation studies, they demonstrated substantial equivalence and achieved FDA clearance. Successful predicate evaluations rely on multiple factors, including intended use, technological characteristics, and performance testing. Each element contributes to a comprehensive evaluation framework, ensuring robust predicate selection. Predicate selection success depends on comprehensive research, careful analysis, and evidence-based decision-making. Strong research and clear documentation are crucial for achieving FDA clearance. Avoiding common mistakes in predicate selection, such as overlooking technological differences or relying on outdated research, is crucial for successful submissions. Understanding these pitfalls improves submission quality. Predicate device selection forms the foundation of the substantial equivalence process. Through research, structured comparisons, and evidence-based evaluations, successful submissions achieve FDA clearance. In this chapter, we delve into the essentials of preparing a 510(k) submission package, crucial for FDA review and clearance. The quality of your submission package can significantly impact review efficiency and regulatory outcomes. Incomplete submissions may lead to delays, while inconsistent documentation can confuse reviewers. Proper preparation supports success by ensuring smoother clearance outcomes. A 510(k) submission is structured into administrative, technical, and scientific sections, each serving a specific purpose. This organization aids in reviewer navigation and ensures clarity. Administrative sections include applicant information, contact details, and device identifiers. Attention to detail here is crucial to avoid delays before technical evaluation. The cover letter introduces the submission, identifying the device and its purpose. A well-structured cover letter sets the tone for the entire package. Most 510(k) submissions require payment of FDA user fees. Ensure payment documentation is accurate to avoid delays. The indications for use statement describes the device's clinical purpose and is critical for regulatory decisions. Clarity here is essential to avoid additional scrutiny. Manufacturers must ensure the accuracy of information submitted to the FDA. This supports regulatory integrity and accountability. Submitters provide either a 510(k) summary or statement, communicating key information about the device. This supports transparency and understanding. The 510(k) summary provides an overview of the device and its substantial equivalence. Clear summaries aid in understanding and decision-making. Device descriptions should cover all aspects to support substantial equivalence evaluations. Comprehensive descriptions leave no ambiguity for reviewers. Predicate comparison sections provide side-by-side analyses of the subject and predicate devices. Structured presentations improve clarity. Testing documentation supports device safety and effectiveness. Evidence-based submissions strengthen regulatory review. Labeling must match the device and communicate safe use. Consistency with intended use is crucial throughout the submission. Effective organization improves review efficiency and reduces the burden on FDA reviewers. Well-organized submissions demonstrate professionalism. A case study highlights the importance of internal reviews to improve submission quality and prevent avoidable delays. A complete submission package combines administrative, technical, and scientific information. Performance evidence is crucial for safety and effectiveness. Many FDA review delays result from documentation deficiencies. Addressing these issues early can prevent delays before submission. Quality control is essential before submission to verify all aspects of the package. This supports successful outcomes and reduces regulatory risk. A successful 510(k) submission requires careful planning, complete documentation, and strong quality controls. Effective preparation reduces regulatory risk. Device description and intended use documentation are crucial for FDA submissions, helping reviewers understand the device's purpose and functionality. This chapter explores how to prepare clear and compliant documentation. A comprehensive device description aids FDA reviewers in understanding the device's design and functionality. Incomplete documentation can lead to delays, while clear documentation supports efficient evaluation. The device description section lays the foundation for equivalence assessments, detailing what the device is, how it functions, and its key components. Key elements of device description include product overview, design features, and technical specifications, all crucial for regulatory review. Manufacturers should clearly identify and describe major device components to aid in regulatory confidence and timely reviews. Describing device materials involves identifying patient-contacting components, biocompatibility assessments, and regulatory implications. Operating principles explain how a device achieves its intended purpose, covering functional mechanisms, user interactions, and energy sources. Understanding intended use is vital, as vague statements can lead to additional regulatory questions. Precision in these statements is crucial. Intended use statements impact substantial equivalence assessments, device classification, and regulatory pathway eligibility. Effective intended use statements must be clear, concise, accurate, evidence consistent, and functionality aligned to satisfy FDA expectations. Indications for use provide detailed information about patient populations, clinical conditions, and healthcare settings, defining the clinical context. Intended use describes the general purpose, while indications for use detail specific clinical applications, both crucial for regulatory decisions. Labeling provides critical information for device operation and safety, ensuring clear communication between manufacturers and users. Common labeling components include product labels, user manuals, and warnings, ensuring patient and user safety. Technological characteristics documentation includes design architecture, software features, and safety features, crucial for regulatory review. A case study on improving intended use documentation highlights the importance of aligning statements with supporting evidence for successful submission. Device documentation consists of several interconnected components, with design and intended use being the most significant for regulatory review. Common documentation deficiencies include unclear intended use statements and incomplete device descriptions, which can delay the review process. Best practices for documentation development include maintaining consistency, using clear language, aligning claims with evidence, and conducting internal quality assessments. Clear documentation is the foundation of effective regulatory communication, aiding FDA reviewers in understanding a device's purpose and functionality. Performance testing and validation are crucial for ensuring device safety and effectiveness. This chapter explores various testing methods, including bench testing and software validation, to support regulatory submissions. Performance testing ensures devices meet safety and effectiveness standards. The FDA relies on objective evidence to support regulatory submissions, highlighting the importance of strong testing data. Validation activities provide documented evidence of compliance, reduce risks, and support regulatory decision-making. Evidence-based evaluation is key to successful submissions. Developing a testing strategy involves considering device classification, technological characteristics, and regulatory expectations. Early planning is essential for efficiency. Bench testing evaluates device performance under controlled conditions, ensuring compliance with design specifications and supporting 510(k) submissions. Bench testing includes mechanical, functional, durability, and environmental testing to ensure devices meet performance standards under various conditions. Mechanical and functional testing assess the strength, accuracy, and reliability of device components, supporting substantial equivalence claims in 510(k) submissions. Software validation ensures software functions as intended and performs reliably. It's critical for software-enabled technologies, requiring extensive documentation and testing. A risk-based approach to software validation involves identifying hazards, analyzing failure modes, and implementing control measures to support regulatory expectations. Electrical safety testing protects against hazards like electric shock and overheating, ensuring patient protection and compliance with safety standards. EMC testing evaluates device interactions with electromagnetic environments, ensuring safe operation and compliance with regulatory standards. Biocompatibility assessments evaluate the interaction between device materials and the human body, supporting patient safety through rigorous testing. Sterilization validation ensures the effectiveness and reliability of sterilization processes, protecting patients from contamination throughout the product lifecycle. Packaging validation evaluates whether packaging maintains product integrity, supporting safety throughout storage, transportation, and handling. Performance evidence must be scientifically sound, well-documented, directly relevant, and support substantial equivalence to meet FDA expectations. A case study of a diagnostic device validation program demonstrates the importance of comprehensive testing to support 510(k) submissions. Most 510(k) submissions rely on multiple forms of performance evidence, with bench testing and software validation being the largest components. Successful validation programs depend on strategic planning, risk-based testing, and regulatory alignment, ensuring smoother review processes. Common deficiencies in testing and validation include incomplete protocols, insufficient justification, and inadequate documentation, which can hinder regulatory approval. Performance testing and validation provide the evidence needed for regulatory approval, ensuring device safety and effectiveness. Key takeaways include the importance of robust validation programs and strategic planning. Clinical evidence and human factors engineering are crucial in proving that medical devices are safe and effective for users and environments. Clinical evidence is gathered through investigations, literature, and real-world experience to ensure safety and effectiveness. The FDA may require this evidence when bench testing is insufficient. Requirements vary based on device characteristics and risks. Evaluating clinical evidence early in development is crucial to avoid delays. This is especially important for novel technologies, new indications, and when existing evidence is insufficient. Clinical evidence can come from investigations, literature, post-market experience, and registry data. These sources can be combined for regulatory submissions. Clinical performance evaluations assess device safety, effectiveness, accuracy, and usability. These evaluations support decision-making by providing structured evidence. Human factors engineering focuses on user interaction with devices to minimize risks. It supports effective and safe device operation, crucial for FDA reviews and submissions. User interaction issues often cause device-related incidents. Human factors engineering identifies and resolves these issues, enhancing safety and performance. User errors occur when actions don't match intended outcomes. Identifying, analyzing, mitigating, and validating these errors is crucial for safety. User-centered design prioritizes user needs, integrates workflows, and considers cognitive factors to ensure safe device operation. Identifying intended users is crucial as user characteristics influence design and validation requirements. This includes healthcare professionals, patients, caregivers, and technicians. Device performance is influenced by the environment, including clinical settings, home environments, and emergency situations. Manufacturers must consider these factors for safety and outcomes. Human factors risk analysis identifies potential hazards and evaluates their impact on safety and effectiveness. This process supports risk control development and regulatory strategy alignment. Formative usability studies are conducted early to identify issues and improve design. They assess interface, instructions, workflow, and design iteration. Human factors validation testing ensures users can safely operate devices under realistic conditions. It involves final design testing, realistic conditions, representative users, and FDA evidence. FDA expects comprehensive documentation to support regulatory confidence and demonstrate device safety and effectiveness. This includes user profiles, environments, task analyses, risk assessments, and validation results. A case study on infusion device alarm redesign shows how formative testing identified problems, leading to design revisions and successful validation. Combining multiple evidence sources creates a robust regulatory submission package. Human factors and clinical investigations often provide the strongest evidence for FDA review. Successful human factors progress through design, testing, risk analysis, and documentation. Early usability testing and comprehensive documentation are key to success. Common deficiencies in human factors and clinical evidence include inadequate user analysis, insufficient testing, weak risk assessments, and incomplete documentation. Addressing these early can prevent submission rejections. Clinical evidence and human factors engineering ensure medical devices meet safety and usability expectations. Key areas include clinical evidence, usability studies, risk management, and user-centered design. The FDA is moving towards electronic submission processes to enhance efficiency, consistency, and review quality. eSTAR is a key component of modern medical device regulatory submissions. In this training, learners will explore eSTAR fundamentals, submission structures, technical requirements, and best practices for successful electronic submissions. Electronic submissions allow manufacturers to submit regulatory information more efficiently than traditional paper-based methods. These systems improve organization, data accessibility, and communication, continuing to modernize regulatory processes across the medical device industry. eSTAR is an interactive submission template designed to assist manufacturers in preparing complete and standardized regulatory submissions. It offers guided structure, improved quality, and review efficiency, supporting FDA review through standardized formatting. eSTAR was developed with clear regulatory goals in mind. It helps improve consistency, reduce deficiencies, enhance quality, and improve communication between industry and FDA throughout the review process. eSTAR provides guided submission preparation, automated completeness checks, standardized formatting, and enhanced reviewer accessibility. These benefits contribute to more efficient submission management and improved regulatory outcomes. eSTAR supports several medical device submission types, including traditional 510(k), special 510(k), de novo requests, and other submissions as determined by FDA guidance. The eSTAR framework organizes information into structured sections that support comprehensive review. It enhances review efficiency and reduces back and forth communication. Accurate administrative data helps prevent processing delays and ensures the submission is routed to the correct FDA review division promptly. Errors in administrative sections are among the most common causes of preventable submission delays. eSTAR includes sections for device descriptions, intended use statements, and indications for use. Clear and consistent information supports substantial equivalence evaluations. Manufacturers upload supporting materials as part of the eSTAR submission package. These should be clearly organized and appropriately referenced throughout the submission. Electronic submissions should comply with FDA technical specifications for formats, readability, and organization. Proper file management improves reviewer navigation and evaluation efficiency. eSTAR contains automated validation features that help identify missing information and incomplete sections before submission. These tools assist manufacturers in improving submission completeness and reducing administrative deficiencies. Before submission, organizations should conduct a thorough readiness review. This improves submission quality and reduces regulatory risks by ensuring document completeness, data consistency, file accessibility, and required attachments. Electronic submissions support FDA reviews through structured information access, searchable document content, and standardized review formats. This enhances communication channels and improves review consistency. Throughout the review process, manufacturers may receive requests for clarification or additional information. Establishing procedures for managing communications ensures successful review outcomes and demonstrates organizational responsiveness to FDA. A medical device manufacturer transitioned from traditional submission methods to an eSTAR-based workflow, achieving measurable improvements in quality and efficiency. Standardized templates, internal validation reviews, and staff training were key to success. Performance testing documentation represents the largest portion of an eSTAR submission package. Effective organization improves reviewer efficiency and submission quality. Successful electronic submissions depend on documentation quality, internal review processes, staff competence, and adherence to technical requirements. Preparation and quality control significantly improve outcomes. Proactive planning helps prevent common problems that can delay FDA review and result in administrative deficiencies, such as missing attachments, inconsistent information, and incomplete validation. eSTAR represents an important advancement in FDA regulatory submission management, providing structured templates, validation tools, and standardized electronic workflows. It supports efficient FDA review and compliance success. After a 510(k) submission is received, the FDA conducts a structured review process designed to evaluate substantial equivalence, supporting evidence, and regulatory compliance. In this CDGTraining chapter, learners will explore FDA acceptance reviews, substantive reviews, interactive communications, additional information requests, deficiency management, reviewer interactions, review timelines, and best practices for successful regulatory engagement. The FDA review process involves multiple stages designed to assess the completeness and scientific adequacy of a submission. Reviewers evaluate administrative information, substantial equivalence arguments, testing evidence, labeling accuracy, risk assessments, and supporting documentation. A structured review framework promotes consistency and regulatory transparency. Each stage builds upon the previous, ensuring that only well-supported submissions advance toward clearance decisions. Once submitted, the FDA receives, logs, and assigns the submission for processing. Proper submission preparation supports efficient processing. The steps include receipt, fee verification, tracking, and assignment. Proper submission preparation supports efficient processing and reduces the risk of early-stage delays. The acceptance review evaluates whether the submission contains the information necessary for substantive review. Reviewers use established acceptance criteria to determine whether required sections and supporting materials are present. Acceptance does not indicate clearance. It allows the submission to proceed to the next review stage. All mandatory submission sections must be included and identifiable, and relevant supporting documentation must accompany the core submission. If required information is missing or significant administrative deficiencies are identified, the FDA may issue a refuse to accept decision. An RTA determination prevents substantive review until deficiencies are corrected. Missing required submission sections, significant administrative deficiencies, fee payment issues, and incomplete or inaccessible documentation can trigger an RTA. Substantive review is halted, the review clock may be affected, resubmission is required after corrections, and potential timeline delays may occur. After successful acceptance review, the submission enters substantive review, the core of the regulatory evaluation process. FDA reviewers begin evaluating substantial equivalence, testing evidence, risk assessments, and overall submission quality. This stage forms the core of the regulatory evaluation process and requires the most comprehensive scientific engagement. Substantive review focuses on determining whether the device is substantially equivalent to a legally marketed predicate device. Scientific evaluation supports all regulatory decisions. The objectives include evaluating intended use, technological characteristics, performance evidence, risk considerations, and labeling consistency. FDA review teams may include experts across multiple disciplines who evaluate evidence within their areas of expertise and contribute to overall decision-making. Multidisciplinary review improves evaluation quality. Areas include engineering, clinical science, software, biocompatibility, human factors, and regulatory affairs. The FDA may engage in interactive communication with manufacturers during review. These communications often involve clarification requests, minor corrections, and discussions intended to improve review efficiency. Timely and professional responses to FDA communications directly support review progress. Delays in responding can stall the review clock and extend overall timelines. When reviewers require additional information to complete their evaluation, the FDA may issue an additional information request. Timely and complete responses are essential. The process involves identifying gaps, issuing AI requests, and responding with complete documentation. Proper responses support efficient processing and reduce the risk of early-stage delays. Understanding the most frequent triggers for AI requests helps organizations build stronger initial submissions. Quality submissions help reduce AI requests. Common reasons include incomplete testing, equivalence gaps, labeling issues, software questions, biocompatibility, and risk management. Effective responses to additional information requests require careful preparation, cross-functional coordination, and clear communication. Clear communication improves review efficiency. Characteristics of strong responses include completeness, well-organized structure, evidence-based answers, and consistency with existing submission documentation. Organizations should actively monitor regulatory timelines and establish internal processes for managing FDA interactions. Project management contributes to regulatory success. Timely responses help minimize delays and support efficient review progression. Internal tracking systems are essential for managing FDA interaction deadlines. Strong communication supports positive regulatory relationships and contributes directly to review success. Best practices should be embedded in organizational culture. All FDA communications should be formal, respectful, and scientifically grounded. Timely responses demonstrate organizational competence and respect for the review process. Providing complete answers and maintaining records of all FDA communications are essential. FDA reviewers evaluate all available evidence before reaching a decision. Decisions are evidence-driven and reflect the totality of the submission record. Possible outcomes include substantial equivalence, not substantially equivalent, or withdrawal. Evidence considered includes substantial equivalence determination, testing quality and completeness, risk assessment adequacy, labeling accuracy and consistency, compliance with applicable requirements, and responses to AI requests. A manufacturer received an additional information request related to software validation and cybersecurity documentation. The regulatory team assembled subject matter experts, developed corrective actions, conducted supplemental analyses, and submitted a comprehensive response package. The case demonstrated the value of preparation, teamwork, and effective communication in achieving successful regulatory outcomes. FDA reviewers evaluate multiple aspects of a submission before reaching a clearance decision. Substantial equivalence assessments and performance evidence reviews typically represent the largest portions of review activities. The distribution of review activities reflects the FDA's primary focus on scientific and technical evaluation. Interactive communication activities, while representing 10% of review time, can have an outsized impact on overall review outcomes and timelines. Several factors contribute to successful review outcomes. Documentation quality, scientific evidence, and effective communication consistently rank among the most important success factors. Understanding these factors can help reduce the risk of review delays and improve overall submission quality. Common review challenges can be anticipated and mitigated through proactive planning and quality-focused submission practices. Submission quality challenges include incomplete submissions, weak predicate comparisons, and insufficient testing evidence. Process and strategy challenges include documentation inconsistencies, delayed FDA responses, and regulatory strategy weaknesses. Proactive planning, internal submission audits, and cross-functional reviews help reduce these risks before submission. The FDA review process is a structured evaluation designed to assess substantial equivalence, supporting evidence, and regulatory compliance. Acceptance review, substantive review, interactive communication, additional information requests, and evidence-based decision-making all contribute to the review lifecycle. FDA review is not simply an evaluation process, it is an interactive regulatory engagement. Organizations that prepare thoroughly, communicate effectively, and respond strategically are better positioned to achieve successful 510(k) clearance outcomes. As taught in CDGTraining's framework, successful FDA interactions depend on high-quality submissions, strong scientific evidence, effective communication, and timely responses throughout the review lifecycle. A successful 510(k) submission is supported by a strong quality system. FDA expectations extend beyond regulatory submissions and include comprehensive quality management processes throughout the device lifecycle. In this CDG training chapter, learners will explore FDA quality system regulation requirements, design controls, document management, complaint handling, CAPA systems, quality integration strategies, and best practices for maintaining regulatory compliance. The FDA quality system regulation establishes requirements for the methods, facilities, controls, and procedures used in the design and manufacture of medical devices. QSR helps ensure that devices consistently meet safety, effectiveness, and quality requirements throughout the product lifecycle. Quality systems support regulatory compliance and patient safety, forming the backbone of responsible medical device development and manufacturing. Quality systems provide a structured framework for managing product quality throughout the device lifecycle. Quality is built into every stage of product development and manufacturing. They ensure ongoing adherence to FDA and regulatory requirements, minimize product failures through systematic process controls, standardize processes to deliver reliable, repeatable outcomes, identify and mitigate potential hazards before they impact patients, and drive ongoing enhancements to quality and operational performance. A comprehensive quality management system integrates multiple elements that together support operational excellence and sustained regulatory compliance. Documented guidelines govern all quality-related activities, systems ensure accuracy and accessibility of critical records, structured processes manage device development activities, oversight of vendors and component quality assures quality issues, corrective and preventive action programs for quality issues, employee competency and qualification records, and management reviews assess system performance and resources. Design controls are systematic processes used to manage device development and ensure that products meet user needs and intended uses. They provide a structured framework that guides development from concept through final product release. FDA design control requirements help manufacturers maintain traceability and demonstrate design effectiveness throughout the development process. Design controls are critical for regulatory compliance and form a key component of any successful 510(k) submission strategy. Design planning establishes development activities, responsibilities, resources, timelines, and review processes. Planning provides the foundation for successful development projects. It involves identifying all development tasks and milestones required for project completion, assigning accountability for each development function, ensuring adequate personnel, equipment, and budget are committed, and scheduling formal checkpoints to evaluate progress and compliance. Design inputs define the requirements that the device must satisfy. Accurate inputs support successful product development and form the basis for all subsequent design activities. They include clinical and operational requirements gathered from intended users and stakeholders, applicable FDA regulations, standards, and guidance documents, measurable criteria defining acceptable device functionality, risk-based requirements addressing potential hazards and mitigations, and evidence requirements supporting intended clinical use and outcomes. Design outputs represent the results of development activities, the tangible deliverables produced during the design process, including drawings, specifications, software, and manufacturing procedures. Verification activities confirm that design outputs meet defined design inputs and performance requirements. Verification provides objective evidence of compliance through testing, inspection, and analysis. Verification is not optional. It is a fundamental FDA requirement that demonstrates your device performs as designed before moving to validation. Design validation demonstrates that the finished device meets user needs and intended uses under actual or simulated use conditions. Validation supports market readiness and is a critical milestone before regulatory submission. It involves evaluating device interaction with intended users to confirm safe and effective use in real-world scenarios, assessing device performance in clinical settings or through review of clinical evidence and literature, and confirming that the device meets all specified performance requirements under intended use conditions. Formal design reviews evaluate development progress and identify potential issues before advancement to subsequent stages. Structured reviews improve decision-making and reduce downstream risk. They involve evaluating feasibility and alignment with user needs, assessing design inputs and early development outputs, confirming design maturity and verification readiness, and authorizing design transfer and manufacturing release. Reviews typically involve engineering, quality, regulatory, clinical, and management representatives to ensure comprehensive evaluation. Document control ensures that approved procedures, specifications, forms, and records remain accurate, current, and accessible to all relevant personnel throughout the organization. Effective document management supports compliance, consistency, and audit readiness, reducing the risk of errors caused by outdated or unauthorized documents. Key elements include document creation and approval workflows, version control and change management, distribution and access controls, obsolete document management, electronic signature compliance, and periodic review and update cycles. Organizations must maintain records that demonstrate compliance and support product traceability. Traceability strengthens regulatory confidence and supports post-market surveillance activities. Key records include design history files, device master records, validation reports, training records, and complaint files. These records ensure that processes and systems perform as intended and that all product complaints are received and investigated. Complaint handling systems help organizations evaluate product performance issues and identify potential safety concerns in the field. Customer feedback provides valuable quality information that drives continuous improvement and informs post-market surveillance strategies. An effective complaint handling process supports regulatory compliance and continuous improvement by ensuring that every reported issue is properly evaluated, investigated, and resolved. It involves timely complaint receipt and logging, MDR reportability assessment, thorough investigation and root cause analysis, corrective action initiation when warranted, and trend analysis for systemic issues. CAPA programs identify, investigate, correct, and prevent quality issues. CAPA is a cornerstone of quality system effectiveness and a primary focus area during FDA inspections. It involves detecting and documenting quality issues through complaints, audits, non-conformances, and trend analysis, investigating underlying causes using structured methodologies such as fishbone diagrams or 5-why analysis, implementing targeted solutions to eliminate identified root causes and resolve existing problems, establishing proactive controls to prevent recurrence of similar issues in the future, and confirming that implemented actions have successfully resolved the issue and prevented recurrence. Management is responsible for ensuring that quality systems remain effective and adequately resourced. Leadership commitment drives quality culture throughout the organization. It involves defining and communicating the organization's commitment to quality, compliance, and patient safety at all levels, conducting regular management reviews of quality system performance data, trends, and key indicators, ensuring that adequate personnel, infrastructure, and financial resources are committed, and championing a culture of ongoing enhancement, accountability, and proactive quality management across the organization. A manufacturer experienced recurring product complaints related to device assembly issues. Despite previous corrective actions, the problems continued to resurface, raising concerns about quality system effectiveness. Investigation revealed weaknesses in supplier oversight and process controls. Supplier components were not consistently meeting specifications, and internal assembly processes lacked sufficient clarity and oversight. The organization implemented enhanced supplier monitoring programs, revised assembly procedures with clearer specifications and accountability, and adopted training to address identified competency gaps. Subsequent performance data demonstrated a significant reduction in complaint rates and improved quality outcomes, validating the effectiveness of the comprehensive CAPA approach. Quality systems consist of multiple interdependent processes. Design controls, CAPA systems, and document management often represent some of the most significant compliance activities within medical device organizations. Design controls represent the largest single component at 25%, reflecting the critical importance of structured development processes. CAPA programs follow closely at 20%, emphasizing their role in quality system performance and FDA inspection readiness. Organizations with strong quality systems typically demonstrate high levels of leadership engagement, employee competence, and process discipline. These factors contribute to sustained regulatory compliance and product quality. Leadership commitment scores highest, reinforcing that quality culture starts at the top. All 6 factors score above 90, demonstrating that high-performing organizations maintain excellence across the quality management system. Regular assessments help identify and address quality system weaknesses before they become regulatory findings. Understanding common deficiencies enables organizations to proactively strengthen their compliance posture. These include missing or inadequate design history files, traceability matrices, or verification and validation records, superficial root cause analysis that fails to identify systemic issues or prevent recurrence, use of obsolete procedures, unauthorized changes, or inadequate version management practices, failure to properly evaluate, investigate, or report product complaints in a timely manner, and incomplete documentation of employee qualifications, competency assessments, or retraining activities. Quality system regulation requirements provide the framework for maintaining medical device quality, safety, and regulatory compliance. As taught in CDGTraining's framework, strong quality systems support successful 510(k) submissions, regulatory compliance, product reliability, and long-term organizational success. A quality system is more than a regulatory requirement. It is the foundation for producing safe, effective, and compliant medical devices throughout the product lifecycle. Obtaining FDA 510(k) clearance is not the end of regulatory responsibility. Manufacturers must continue to monitor device performance, comply with reporting requirements, manage complaints, and maintain regulatory compliance throughout the product lifecycle. In this CDG training chapter, learners will explore medical device reporting, MDR, corrections and removals, post-market surveillance, recalls, FDA inspections, adverse event management, and ongoing regulatory obligations. After a device enters the market, manufacturers remain responsible for ensuring that it continues to meet safety, effectiveness, and regulatory requirements. Ongoing verification that the device continues to perform as intended is essential. Adherence to applicable FDA regulations and quality system standards throughout the product lifecycle is crucial. Post-market activities help identify emerging risks, support patient safety, and maintain regulatory standing. Compliance is a continuous process. Market entry marks the beginning, not the end, of regulatory responsibility. Post-market compliance helps organizations achieve critical objectives that protect both patients and the organization's regulatory standing. Ensuring devices remain safe and effective for the patients who depend on them every day is paramount. Proactive monitoring enables organizations to detect and address product concerns before they escalate. Consistent compliance preserves market access and supports positive relationships with regulatory authorities. Effective monitoring strengthens public confidence and regulatory trust. Medical device reporting is a regulatory requirement that supports the FDA's ability to monitor device performance after market entry. MDR programs collect information regarding adverse events and product-related problems that may impact patient safety. Timely reporting supports public health protection by enabling the FDA to identify safety signals across the device population, take corrective action when necessary, communicate risks to healthcare providers and patients, and inform future regulatory decisions. The MDR program is a cornerstone of the FDA's post-market safety infrastructure. It enables the agency to fulfill its public health mission by leveraging real-world device performance data. Identifying patterns in adverse event data that may indicate systemic device issues is crucial. Monitoring device performance helps assess patient populations and clinical settings. Recognizing new or evolving safety concerns before they become widespread problems is essential. Translating surveillance data into actionable improvements benefits patient protection. Manufacturers should establish robust procedures for identifying potentially reportable events. Understanding what constitutes a reportable event is fundamental to MDR compliance. Events involving life-threatening conditions, permanent impairment, or hospitalization that may be device-related are serious injuries. Failures that could cause or contribute to serious injury if the malfunction were to recur are device malfunctions. Certain events that raise concerns about patient safety even when serious injury has not yet occurred are patient safety concerns. Complaint handling systems often serve as a primary source of information for MDR evaluations. The connection between these two systems is critical to maintaining compliance. Organizations should ensure that complaints are reviewed systematically to determine whether reporting obligations may apply. Effective integration of complaint handling in MDR processes supports consistent compliance and reduces the risk of missed reporting obligations. Post-market surveillance involves ongoing collection and analysis of information related to device performance after commercialization. A well-structured surveillance program is a hallmark of a mature quality system. Systematic review of customer complaints to identify trends and potential safety signals is essential. Evaluation of device performance data collected from real-world clinical and operational experiences is crucial. Structured collection and analysis of input from users, clinicians, and service personnel support continuous monitoring and proactive risk management. Trend analysis helps organizations identify recurring issues, emerging risks, and potential safety concerns before they become significant problems. Data-driven decision-making supports preventive action and early detection improves outcomes for patients and organizations alike. Effective signal detection requires defined thresholds, consistent data collection, and regular review cycles. Organizations should establish criteria for when a trend triggers escalation and corrective action. Manufacturers may occasionally implement corrections or removals to address product issues identified after commercialization. These field actions are a normal part of responsible device lifecycle management. Detect a product concern through surveillance, complaints, or internal review. Evaluate the nature and severity of the issue and determine appropriate action. Execute correction or removal with structured planning and communication. Organizations should maintain procedures for managing field actions effectively. A recall is an action taken to address a device that may present a problem related to safety, effectiveness, or regulatory compliance. Recalls are a critical tool for protecting patients when potential issues are identified in the field. Recall management requires structured planning, communication, documentation, and follow-up activities to ensure that affected devices are addressed appropriately. Patient safety remains the primary objective of every recall action. Regulatory authorities classify recalls based on the severity of the associated risk. Understanding classification concepts helps organizations respond and prioritize actions effectively. Class 1 recalls involve serious health consequences or death. Class 2 recalls involve temporary or medically reversible health consequences. Class 3 recalls involve unlikely health consequences but violate FDA regulations. Organizations should understand applicable regulatory expectations and establish procedures to ensure product issues are managed appropriately. FDA inspections help verify compliance with applicable regulatory requirements. Inspections may occur routinely or in response to specific concerns, and organizations should be prepared at all times. Assessment of the overall quality management system, including design controls, production, and process controls, is essential. Review of complaint intake, investigation, and MDR evaluation processes and documentation is crucial. Assessment of corrective and preventive action processes, effectiveness, and documentation quality is necessary. Organizations should maintain inspection readiness through consistent quality system management and a culture of compliance. Prepared organizations generally respond more effectively during inspections and demonstrate regulatory maturity. Strong documentation practices ensure accurate and readily retrievable records across all quality system elements. Conduct regular internal audits to identify gaps before inspectors do. Address findings promptly and document corrective actions thoroughly. Ensure employees understand their regulatory responsibilities and are trained on current procedures and requirements. Risk management continues throughout the product lifecycle. Organizations should regularly evaluate new information from complaints, surveillance activities, inspections, and field experiences to ensure that risk controls remain effective. Ongoing risk assessments support continuous improvement and help organizations respond proactively to emerging safety signals. Risk management is not a one-time activity. It is an ongoing commitment that evolves with the device and its use environment. A manufacturer identified an increasing trend of customer complaints involving device connectivity performance. Post-market surveillance resulted in an increasing rate of connectivity-related complaints through systematic trend analysis. Root cause analysis was conducted, examining device software, firmware, and field use conditions. A targeted software update was developed and validated to address the identified root cause. This case demonstrates how proactive surveillance, rigorous investigation, and timely corrective action combine to protect patients and strengthen compliance. Organizations collect post-market information from multiple sources. Customer complaints and service records often provide the earliest indicators of emerging product performance concerns. Customer complaints represent the largest single source of post-market surveillance data at 35%, underscoring the critical importance of a solid complaint handling system. Service reports contribute an additional 20%, making field service the second most valuable surveillance input. Together, these two sources account for more than half of all post-market intelligence. Clinical feedback, internal audits, and published information each contribute equally, reinforcing the value of a diversified, multi-source surveillance strategy. Effective post-market programs depend on structured monitoring, responsive quality systems, regulatory awareness, and continuous improvement practices. Strong surveillance programs contribute to ensuring compliance success. All 6 factors score above 90. Reflecting the high and consistent importance of each within a comprehensive post-market compliance program. No single factor can be disregarded without undermining the overall strategy. Even well-intentioned organizations encounter post-market compliance challenges. Recognizing these common pitfalls is the first step toward preventing them. Delayed complaint investigations can result in missed MDR reporting deadlines and undetected safety trends. Weak trend analysis processes, without defined thresholds and regular review cycles, emerging signals may go unnoticed until they become significant problems. Incomplete or inconsistent records undermine compliance demonstrations during inspections. CAPAs that fail to address root causes or verify effectiveness allow problems to recur. Passive or infrequent surveillance misses early warning signs that proactive management requires. Inspection readiness gaps may result in the need for preparations reactively rather than proactively. Post-clearance compliance is an essential component of medical device regulatory management. Successful post-market programs combine regulatory awareness, strong quality systems, proactive monitoring, and continuous improvement to protect patients and support long-term business success. Timely MDR submissions support FDA surveillance and demonstrate regulatory commitment. Complaint management is the foundation of effective post-market surveillance. Ongoing monitoring enables early detection of emerging risks and performance trends. Structured field action management protects patients and ensures compliance. Inspection readiness ensures organizations are always ready for FDA review. Ongoing risk assessments throughout the lifecycle support continuous improvement and performance. Navigating the complex landscape of regulatory challenges is crucial for medical device manufacturers. This chapter delves into common 510(k) deficiencies, warning letters, and regulatory pitfalls, providing insights into submission quality and regulatory risk reduction. Regulatory deficiencies arise when submissions lack clarity or completeness, hindering FDA review. Understanding these gaps is essential to prevent delays and additional information requests. Strong preparation is key to overcoming these challenges. Deficiencies often result from inadequate planning, weak documentation, and poor communication. Addressing these root causes through effective quality systems and early regulatory engagement can prevent many issues. Administrative deficiencies can delay review processes. Issues like missing forms or incorrect submission types are common but avoidable with careful attention to detail. Device description deficiencies often stem from incomplete or inconsistent information. Clear and accurate descriptions support effective regulatory review and reduce additional information requests. Labeling and intended use statements are critical in 510(k) submissions. Ambiguous language or unsupported claims can lead to significant FDA questions. Consistent communication across documents is essential. Selecting the right predicate device is crucial in the 510(k) process. Differences in intended use or technological aspects must be adequately explained to avoid deficiencies. Substantial equivalence deficiencies occur when manufacturers fail to demonstrate similarities between devices. Evidence-based analyses strengthen submissions and build reviewer confidence. Performance testing is vital in 510(k) submissions. Deficiencies in this area can be prevented through robust testing programs and thorough documentation. As medical devices become more software-driven, documentation deficiencies are increasingly scrutinized. Comprehensive documentation supports regulatory compliance and mitigates risks. Human factors engineering is crucial in addressing usability gaps in 510(k) submissions. Proper analysis and validation can prevent user-related risks and enhance patient safety. Quality systems are essential for regulatory compliance. Weaknesses in these systems can lead to significant challenges throughout the product lifecycle. Strong systems offer a competitive advantage. FDA warning letters are serious communications indicating significant regulatory violations. Understanding their requirements and impacts is crucial for maintaining compliance and market position. Common causes of warning letters include quality system violations and inadequate CAPA systems. Preventive compliance programs are essential to reduce enforcement risks. The FDA has various enforcement actions available for compliance concerns. Understanding these actions underscores the importance of proactive compliance management. A proactive approach to regulatory compliance can prevent major deficiencies. This case study highlights the importance of internal audits, corrective reviews, and supplemental testing. Performance testing and documentation are the most common 510(k) deficiency categories. Investing in robust testing programs and comprehensive documentation can significantly improve submission quality. Strong quality systems and comprehensive testing are key factors in regulatory success. Organizations that build compliance into their development processes consistently outperform those that do not. Learning from regulatory pitfalls involves starting planning early, maintaining quality systems, and investing in employee training. Continuous improvement strengthens compliance over time. Understanding common deficiencies and regulatory pitfalls helps organizations improve submission quality and strengthen compliance programs. This chapter summary reinforces the importance of proactive strategies. Successful FDA submissions are not achieved through individual projects alone. Long-term regulatory success requires sustainable governance structures, skilled professionals, strong quality systems, and a culture of compliance. In this CDGTraining chapter, learners will explore regulatory governance, compliance culture, workforce development, continuous improvement, future regulatory trends, organizational excellence, professional certification pathways, and long-term regulatory sustainability. A sustainable regulatory affairs program consistently supports compliance, market access, product lifecycle management, and organizational growth. Leadership commitment, skilled personnel, effective processes, and continuous adaptation are key. Strong programs create lasting value for organizations, patients, and the broader healthcare ecosystem. Successful regulatory programs are built on a set of interconnected principles that together create a resilient compliance infrastructure. Leadership support, quality management integration, continuous learning, regulatory expertise, risk-based decision-making, and effective governance are crucial. These foundations support long-term compliance success and organizational resilience in a dynamic regulatory environment. Regulatory governance establishes accountability, oversight, and strategic direction across the organization. Well-defined governance ensures that regulatory responsibilities are clearly assigned and consistently executed. Areas like regulatory affairs, quality management, product development, risk management, and executive leadership are integral to this structure. Leadership plays a critical role in establishing compliance expectations and allocating resources necessary for regulatory success. Visible commitment from senior management promotes accountability and supports a culture of quality and compliance throughout the organization. A compliance culture encourages employees to understand regulatory responsibilities and proactively identify potential issues before they escalate into significant deficiencies. Awareness, accountability, proactive action, and sustained performance are key. Organizations with strong compliance cultures often experience fewer regulatory deficiencies and stronger quality outcomes. Regulatory professionals require ongoing education to remain current with changing regulations, guidance documents, technologies, and industry expectations. Continuous learning strengthens organizational capability and regulatory performance. Competency drives success. Organizations that invest in workforce development consistently outperform those that do not. Regulatory success depends on collaboration across multiple disciplines. No single function can achieve sustainable compliance in isolation. Effective cross-functional engagement is essential. This collaboration ensures regulatory considerations are integrated throughout the product lifecycle. Regulatory affairs and quality management should operate as complementary functions, sharing information, processes, and objectives to support consistent compliance outcomes. Collaboration between these functions improves organizational effectiveness and reduces the risk of compliance gaps. Regulatory intelligence involves monitoring changes in regulations, standards, guidance documents, enforcement trends, and industry developments. Organizations that invest in regulatory intelligence are better prepared to adapt to changing expectations. Awareness supports compliance. Organizations with robust regulatory intelligence programs consistently demonstrate stronger preparedness during inspections and submissions. Continuous improvement helps organizations strengthen processes and reduce regulatory risks over time. A structured approach to improvement creates a cycle of learning and enhancement. Internal audits, lessons learned reviews, CAPA programs, process optimization, and training enhancements are essential components. Organizations should monitor key performance indicators to assess regulatory program effectiveness and support informed decision-making. What gets measured gets managed. Submission success rates, review timelines, inspection outcomes, audit findings, CAPA effectiveness, and training completion are critical metrics. Inspection readiness should be maintained continuously rather than only before regulatory inspections. A state of perpetual readiness reflects a mature, well-managed regulatory program. Organizations that treat inspection readiness as a continuous state, rather than a reactive exercise, consistently achieve better inspection outcomes and fewer observations. The regulatory environment continues to evolve rapidly to emerging technologies and changing healthcare delivery models. Regulatory professionals must remain adaptive and forward-looking. AI and machine learning, software as a medical device, cybersecurity requirements, real-world evidence, digital health innovations, and electronic submissions are key trends. Resilient organizations anticipate change and respond effectively to regulatory, technological, and market developments. Resilience is not built overnight. It is cultivated through deliberate investment in people, processes, and governance. Adaptability supports long-term success. Organizations that build resilience are better positioned to thrive amid regulatory change and market uncertainty. A growing medical device manufacturer experienced inconsistent submission outcomes and recurring audit observations that threatened market access and organizational credibility. Leadership established a detailed regulatory governance structure, expanded training programs, implemented metrics, and strengthened quality integration across functions. The transformation demonstrated the value of strategic regulatory management, turning inconsistent performance into a predictable, high-quality regulatory program.